Gottfried, how many years have we been putting this bill forward? Can I ask you that?
Well, this is our sixth debate on the bill. I don't know whether we've done it annually in the last 5 years, but give or take a few. The bill was introduced for the first time, I think, in '03.
Okay. And did it ever hit the floor of the Senate for a vote?
Not that I'm aware of.
Any indication it's going to hit the floor of the Senate this year?
There's a lot of very active advocacy going on. I'm not quite sure whether that question is even germane to this debate.
Well, if you're looking to make this a law, it's got to pass both houses. So I think
yes,
it's very...
but I don't know whether its prospects in the Senate ought to guide you or me or any of us as to how we vote, right?
Right. All right. Well, let me try something else. Now, under this bill...
By the way, you're perfectly comfortable advancing bills that never get to the floor in this House. That doesn't stop you from introducing them.
Well, that's nice. You know, maybe if your side of the aisle would sit there and listen to all reasonable resolutions, we can get some good
Gentlemen,
legislation.
can we stand when you stay on the legislation that's on the board? Thank you.
Okay. Now, under this bill, with the expression, you could look like I do right now, and all I have to say is I feel like a woman, okay? That I'm identifying myself that way, and I can go into any woman's bathroom, any woman's shower, any woman's locker room. Isn't that true?
I don't think simply saying one day that you feel like a woman would fit the definition in the bill.
Well, gender expression. Gender expression, today, I can dress just like I'm dressed right now, right? But I can identify myself, or just say I identify myself as a woman, and I would be allowed into any woman's shower, any woman's locker room, any woman's bathroom. Isn't that true?
No. I think if you tried to do that and were arrested, and you tried to convince the judge or jury that not only today did you wake up claiming to feel like a woman, but that was in fact your gender identity, I don't think you would be able to prove that in court, and I think you'd be convicted.
Okay,
I'm
well...
quite certain you'd be convicted, and I am quite certain that unless someone's, you know, going to pull out a clipping here in this debate for the first time in the decade that I've been supporting this bill, I don't think the conduct that you're describing has come to public attention in any of the jurisdictions that have this law on the books.
Well, I believe you and I had this debate last year.
I'm quite certain that we did.
Okay, and one of the questions I asked was, say I had a 14-year-old daughter that played sports. And after the sporting event, she went into the school to take a shower. One of the male students could say, I identify myself as female today, and take a shower with my daughter. And correct me if I'm wrong, but last year when we debated this, or whichever, or the year before, your answer to that was yes, he could take a shower with my daughter. Nobody could stop him. I'm trying to see, how did you change this bill that last time your answer was yes, he'd be able to do that, and now this year it's no, he didn't. Where did you change this bill?
I don't have the transcript of last year's debate in front of me. Maybe you do. I don't think that would be an accurate characterization of what I would have said in response to that question. Because the facts you're describing, that kid would be in big trouble.
Okay,
and would not be able to make a claim under this law. And of all the wacky 14-year-olds that there are spread across this state and country, not one of them has ever come to public attention for doing what you're describing and relying on a state or local gender law as a defense.
Well,
considering all the wacky 14-year-olds, I would bet that if the gender legislation really would have protected such a 14-year-old, we would have heard about it in a real-world case. There has been no such real-world case that I've heard of, and I said that to you last year, and I'm guessing you don't have a new case on your desk in front of you.
No, I remember very vividly our conversation about this bill, because I can say, as I talk to people in my district, they hate this bill. And do you have a concise definition of what expression would be in this bill? Concise.
The bill define, well, I don't know how concise you want it to be. The bill in about 3.5 lines says what gender expression, what gender identity or expression means. There is no separate definition of gender expression or a separate definition of gender identity. The two terms are defined with the same set of words, and they're right there in front of you. I don't know if it could be made more concise than what it is.
Okay. Let's try something else.
Okay.
Now, just because if I say I identify as the opposite sex that I was born, I don't have to have that outward appearance. I can have my appearance, correct?
If that is in fact how you identify, and you're not just waking up one morning and having fun claiming it, that's right. The bill does not require a specific appearance.
Okay. So, I mean, I could look like a lumberjack with the beard, the whole bit, but I can identify as a woman.
You might have a hard time convincing a court that you weren't just pulling their leg by claiming that, but you could take a shot at it.
All right, but under this bill, that would be under the expression, because the way your gender identity or expression means having or being perceived, having a gender identity, self-expression, appearance, behavior, or expression, whether or not that gender identity, self-image, appearance, behavior, or expression is different from the traditional associated with the sex assigned to that person at birth.
I think your bearded lumberjack would have a very difficult time convincing a court after he was arrested for trespass in the women's room that he in fact has the gender identity of a woman.
Yeah, but that's
I don't think your lumberjack would be able to make that case under this bill.
Well, not necessarily, not if that's what he does every day on a daily basis,
Well,
not how he's dressed.
It's never happened.
But that's the definition, that would fit your definition of expression.
I don't think your lumberjack would fit that definition.
Could you explain why it wouldn't fit?
Because I think you would look at that lumberjack's demeanor and behavior and a variety of other aspects of that lumberjack's life, and I would be quite certain that the totality of all of those things would make it crystal clear to all but that lumberjack's drinking buddies that he was lying to the court. I think that would be crystal clear.
So you're going...
And if a bearded lumberjack could pull that off, I'll bet one of them would have, and that's never happened. And I keep repeating, you and your colleagues keep coming up with these interesting hypotheticals, and I have been saying through now my 6th debate, show me where in Minnesota or Kalamazoo, Michigan, or Rochester or Suffolk County or any place on the planet where someone has pulled that kind of stunt and tried to rely on a piece of gender legislation. Show it to me. No one's come up with a single case. 100 million Americans live in jurisdictions with gender legislation. 10 million New Yorkers. The Walt Disney Company has this on their books. These fantasies that you keep dreaming up do not happen, and they do not happen because in the real world, they do not fit the language of the bill.
I can assure you I'm not fantasizing about this bill, okay?
Well,
now further,
the word fantasize may make you uncomfortable. You're certainly imagining hypotheticals, and I don't think you have a single real-world example.
Right.
Am I right?
No,
Am I right? You don't have a single real-world example?
No, you're not right, because
or are you going to pull one out of your pocket?
We gave you a bunch of examples last year, and my colleague is going to be doing that.
A real-world
shortly.
example?
Oh, yes, right out of
Of someone taking advantage of a gender statute to do the kind of conduct that you're talking about.
Well, I'm not debating that part of it. My colleague will later.
Okay.
But right now, so let me get away from the lumberjack. So now all of a sudden...
Excuse me, but I just want to make clear. you are agreeing that you don't have such an example.
Well, if
You-
I sit
you
down
think
on the
the
computer,
colleague
I'll
does,
find you a
but you
bunch of them
don't.
in about 2 seconds. However,
But you don't have such
but
an
that's
example.
not my debate
Okay.
right now. So if we
Okay.
could
Mr.
stick to my
Speaker?
debate, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, Ms. Corwin, why do you rise?
I believe the rules of the House state that we're supposed to allow the person to ask the question, the next person answers. I think that we're losing some of that on this side of the aisle.
Yes, Ms. Corwin, we will, gentlemen, we will try to
Stay on the.
ask a question, give time for response, ask a question, and give time for response. Thank you.
Surely. Now, the last question is, under this right here, this bill, if say you're at a beach, right? You go into, there's public showers to wash the sand off you, and you're in there with your 4-year-old daughter, okay? Then a man, right, not dressed as a woman, right, can walk into that shower, that female shower, and bathe there with the 4-year-old child, if it's an open shower. Is that correct?
If by open shower you mean a unisex shower, I'm not aware that there are any, but if it's a shower that admits men and women regardless, if you know of such a shower, then I guess men could walk in. But so far, based on what you've said, I don't see how the gender bill comes into play yet.
Okay.
So
Thank
the
you.
man you're describing would be busted for trespass and maybe some other things.
Thank you very much.